Scientology is not harmless. It was devised by L. Ron Hubbard to extract everything from people, and it is simply a machine to do that, and that's its purpose, and that's what it does. And if you're lucky, a little bit of you will get spewed out the other end, and there's enough of you left to piece yourself back together.
They figured she was so much trouble, they got her mum and sat her mum in the security office. It's one of the turrets of that castle over there, and sat her down. Then they brought Mary in, and then the OSA people said to the mum, said, look, either you leave the Sea Org now with that kid and look after the kid, right? Or you can stay, but the kid's not going to be here. The mum said, oh, I'll stay, my job is so important. And she disowned Mary, and then Jane and Deborah then took Mary up to the train station in Grinstead, 8 o'clock at night or something like that, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Put her on the train, gave her 30 quid and says, never, ever, ever come back. 14-year-old girl. Now, later on I talked to her and I found out how she survived. She walked into nightclubs, would get herself picked up by guys for a one-night stand, get some food, get a place to sleep. Eventually she got into drug dealing and drug addiction, all that stuff. 14-year-old girl. She lived like that for 5, 6 years until her sister was able to grab her and get her off the drugs.
Really? You want to go through the whole of Scientology OT levels just to learn that about yourself? Are you kidding me?
You've been here 22 years, Owen.
Because I knew that if you tell them you want to leave, you're not allowed. Chase you, they would follow you, they would bring you back, they would hound you, they would bring you back. They did that to my father when he escaped somehow from Denmark. You imagine if you're being hounded by somebody like that continually, I don't suppose it ever goes away. You feel you're constantly on the run. The only family members around me that I had were people that were them. So I felt very, very alone. And I think an awful lot of people do when they leave, because where they're going to go, who they're going to go to. I still have problems with the fact that so many children are involved, and even all them adults that are now adults that have been children all the way through. There's nothing I can do for them because I know that the indoctrination is too great. But I would like very much to make sure other young, vulnerable people who have no connection with the church at all don't get connected with it.
Well, Alicia found that she couldn't get out. They weren't letting her out. She was being subjected to these interrogations called security checks, right? Quite violent, let's say psychologically violent interrogations. That's what they really are. And Alicia fell into such a state of despair and could see no way out that she decided to top herself. And then, so she escaped from the room that she was being held. She ran into the workshop. She grabs a tin of paint thinner, glugs it down, runs up, climbs up on the roof and jumps off. And shatters, of course, her pelvis and her lower spine and all that. Plus, of course, whatever was happening to her with the paint thinner. The OSA people, of course, are informed. They were told to keep her there, don't call an ambulance yet, because the closest hospital is up at Tunbridge Wells. No, they took her to one where they had some people who were friendly to Scientology, 45 minutes away, and Alice was left crippled for life. 19-year-old girl.
Well, they call it auditing. It's like officially spiritual counselling. I spent a huge amount of money on that, tens and tens of thousands of pounds, and it just didn't work out. I didn't get out of it what they said I was going to get, all these things, so I realised, you know, it's just not working, so I had to leave. But of course, because I invested so much of my life, not just the money, which is obviously a big thing, you know, it was basically I spent more on Scientology than I did on buying my house. It's a lot of money, but it's also the emotional investment. Like you believe in something so much, and then you realise it's all a con, and it's just like your whole ground from underneath you just knocked away, and you don't know where you're above an abyss. You just don't know. Nothing makes sense anymore, and that was a horrible time. I was very depressed for quite a long time.
We normalized insane behavior. That was normal. We normalized criminal behavior. That was acceptable. That was every day. Several people, we made them to get their inheritances early, you know, and then we take that inheritance. That's their inheritance, you know. We had people selling their houses. We had people remortgage their businesses. For a long time I felt incredible guilt. I do feel guilt and shame, right? You can't live with that every single day of life. You can't do it, right?
If you value your sanity and your bank balance, just don't get involved, because you might think, oh well, they can't pull one over on me, but they are absolute masters at manipulating people. They do courses on it. They'd spend decades on manipulating people. You might think, oh, you're immune, but I would say virtually everyone has the potential of getting involved if they get you at the right time. And they're experts. It's like Darren Brown. It's like, if you've ever seen him on the television, all the things he gets people to do, it's absolutely ridiculous. He even tells them he's going to make them do, and he still makes them do that. It's like Darren Brown, almost, with no conscience whatsoever.
Has there been, do you see like a common thread in terms of why people make that final decision to leave the church?
It's lots of reasons. I've tried to analyse it, but there's lots and lots of reasons. I think a lot of the time is... Can you film that?